Hi there, and welcome to the Ukes with podcast. This is me, Alex Beds, the man from ukeswith.com and Ukes with Alex. And my guest today is a guest I'm having back from series one. This is MAZ from Got a Ukulele. How are you doing? You okay?
I'm all right, Alex. Nice to see you again. I feel like, is this going to be like one of those 70s, 80s sitcom talk shows where people like Clive Jones would get Dame Edna back every series? Am I in series 3 as well?
Absolutely. Cool. I think it was my most popular podcast from the first series, and it was the one that it's the one that when I think back, I loved filming that one. I love filming all of them, but it felt very natural. We'd never had a conversation before, but I don't know. We're both looking at things with the same skepticism. So it was positive negativity. It was a really good thing. It was like therapy.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Strange time, wasn't it, when we were doing it as well? I think that was probably sort of in the thick of pandemic still, wasn't it? Nobody was going out anywhere. So
yeah, but now things are back to normal, and we're both more beardy than we were last time. That's the first thing I'm noticing.
I need a haircut as well. I'm noticing now.
I'm going to go in with, I think, the most important question I can ask you, which is, why isn't a Ken Tim's £400 anymore?
Oh my god! You saw that then? Yeah.
I've got loads of these questions.
This is great. I've got accused of a lot of things, but this is a guy who's selling. He sells by an auction site. That's the only way he sells. The auction site dictates the price. How dare you? How dare you? That one left me speechless.
So he's using eBay, so he's paying 10% fees or whatever it is as well. The man is making approximately £2 an hour to produce possibly the most Martin-esque thing you can buy.
Yeah. And do you know what the other vibe I got from that comment was? A very odd thing to say publicly, to say how dare you, because you're basically also putting yourself out there to say, I don't want to pay craftsmen for their craft.
Yeah. I thought it was a joke. When I read it, the first time I read it, I was like, oh, it's a joke that's been misconstrued. But then, no, I read it again. And then I read it again. I was like, oh, no, I've had comments like this. This is crap. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. I mean, my view, absolutely good luck to Ken. Ken deserves all the credit he can get. He's making a very, very good product. If he's not setting the price, he puts it out there, the market decides the price. There we are, the end. I can't think of a more perfect way of selling your product that you let the people decide what they're going to pay you for it.
Exactly. And, at the end of the day, if Ken Tim's worked for Uke like the pros, that ukulele would be... Never mind. Yeah. So
it'd get a great setup though, wouldn't it?
It would. Yeah, it would. Yeah. And I don't know, I don't want to go into it and be too, a slap on the wrist and all that, but we all had a good laugh about that because there's so many ukulele specialists out there that do all of that work as a given. I think it was fun to have something to laugh about. But it just
Matt Warnes at World Youth, he made the most perfect comment, I thought, which was that he's a dealer. He's wanting people to come back. I know you're exactly the same, so I know you're not minding me saying this about World Youth. So it works exactly the same way for Southern Ukulele Store. Mm-hmm. You want customers to trust you. You want customers to come back to you. You want customers to use your store. If Matt's got an instrument in his hand that needs a setup, and he's got a box ticking exercise that says, yes, I'll pay extra for the setup, or no, I won't, and someone doesn't tick to pay for the setup, he's got a choice. He sends out an instrument that he knows needs work. Well, what's that? The only thing that does is send a message to that customer that I'm not using that store again.
Yeah, it's like you can have the Amazon service or you can have the music shop service. And I don't know. And it's a really difficult thing as somebody working in the trade to straddle without kind of, lowering yourself to a bad level. But I just thought it was a really good thing to do, to make a video that explained what we do and how we do it. Because, what we do is when we're making our price, we work to a certain margin and we go, okay, can we pay our staff, do this, turn this over, make a little bit of money, blah, 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 blah. There's so many different things that equate to what you're doing. But I wondered if maybe it came down to different kind of statutory rights laws in America about purchasing, because we get lots of questions about that from American customers who I believe that I don't know, like their right to return is not as transparent as it is in Europe and the UK in general. But I don't know, it's a tough one. But like someone like Mim, they cap their orders. They have, I think it's like 20 orders a week, and she makes sure that she does those ukes and it works for her. But the luthiers that Terry employs, I actually, before I knew that she worked for Terry, one of the ladies who he has working there was working for Rick Turner Guitars, and I've been following her since I met her at the NAMM show in 2017, maybe. So he's got the people. It's a good setup. It's a great setup, and you're paying for it. But equally, Phil, who works with me, built a ukulele with Pete Howlett, and he knows as much as he can. And people ask for Phil, and they specifically say, could Phil do this, or can Gunsy do this, or Rob? And I think that that kind of, that's the mum and pop element of niche retail. That's kind of what I like about niche retail. I used to work for Game and Borders and Tesco. I used to work for these big companies. Some of them don't exist anymore because they didn't have that personal element.
I think, I totally get that. And I think that's something else that came through in the responses from the other stores, because it's not just you and it's not just World of Ukes. It was Mim, as you say, Uke Republic as well came in. These are really good stores. And what I learned, I mean, I knew this was happening in the UK, but they've got the same thing going on there that you've got going on with World of Ukes and Carlisle. There's an understanding, there's a working together of the stores. You're not working against each other, even though you are in business. And obviously you've got to keep your store running. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a really, we've almost got a uke community of players. We've got all these clubs and jam bands and whatever else. And we've got all these festivals. We've almost got a uke community of stores, is the way I saw it. And I think that's a really lovely thing for the instrument. And then I think what really shone the light on that was somebody sort of putting the flag up the pole saying, to me at least, and I can say this because I'm not a store, but somebody put a flag up the pole that effectively read to me as saying, I'm not part of this. And I don't know. I think that was what I found the most interesting about it, because I learned that you guys are working together on a far bigger level than, and I don't mean that to say that you're trying to fix the things, but you're actually helping each other.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Helping the customer. I think that's wonderful. It was really nice to see.
Mm-hmm. The transparency, I'll give you an example of that. Flight is the best example of that on the market right now, because there was a time at the beginning of when we did Flight in 2019 where there was a really high return rate. And we worked with Flight, but we also worked with Matt. And then later we were working with like Hal Leonard Music Room themselves, who distribute, we're working with all these people. And eventually Flight employed an in-house tech in Slovenia who does a secondary setup. And we get boxes now that have this tick on. And then Hal Leonard in Europe also employed a luthier to check things. So now the return rate is really, really low. And that's because of collaboration between, 7 or 8 different people along the chain, including Flight themselves that would listen, because I would include them and Kanalea and Ohana and Carla in that big chain of community of ukulele retail. Carla, especially, like Mike Upton, is one of the only CEOs I know of a kind of multi-million-dollar company who comes over and listens to people whinge about the quality of a Carla KAT. But he does it, and he, the next time they produce them, there's a slightly different number on the barcode because they've made a spec change, because they want people to come back for more. And I don't know, that's the thing I get passionate about. Like, I've worked in retail since I left school, so maybe I'm conditioned to find joy in anything I can. But
you know what, and I see some overlap here as well with different brands, because I think this is a really important point, that There's certain brands that I've reviewed instruments of, and all my reviews are just purely subject. They're my views. If you've got one that you like, that's fine. I don't need to go through all that again. But there are certain brands that sit outside that uke community. So you're talking about brands like Flight. You know how much Juliana engages with the ukulele community to want to make her product better. Mike's doing this at Carla. But then you go out to these. I was thinking about this before this video. Is you go to the high street music stores, and it's all the brands that you don't see in the specialist ukulele stores, and they're all pretty lame. Largely. Yeah. And there's one that begins with F that I shouldn't say too much more about, but everybody's seen my videos of them. I've never seen a decent one. I think they're lousy, and I love the brand. I've got their guitar over there.
Yeah.
But they're not doing anything to actually engage themselves within that ukulele community that I can see. They email me and ask me to promote stuff like, who are you? They're just saying, oh, he's the promotion website. But I'm like, well, yeah. I've already reviewed that.
Yeah.
It's just, so there's sort of two tiers of brands as well. I think it's the guitar brands largely.
Yeah. Another one beginning with T, there's an element of, let's just, I believe with the company you mentioned, that first company, they told me that they choose their ukuleles from a catalog that they get given at the NAMM show. And, they struck gold with a model a while back that we sold, and it went okay. But then they got very, very upset that there was returns, and, we stopped working with them because they stopped accepting that their instruments were they had problems. And you get 3 out of 10 would be great and we'd sell them, but then no manufacturer, not really a manufacturer, no brand wants to have 7 instruments go back. But those 7 instruments probably ended up in general music stores because they're not going to send them back to China. They don't have someone in house. It's that kind of thing. And it's it's just
I think I think it's, and I may be wrong. Maybe this happens with certain other musical instruments. I used to do time in guitar shops, and I never saw it in the guitar trade. But maybe it happens with more specialist instruments. But you've got this community amongst not only the players and also the artists, because you go to festivals and everybody knows each other. I mean, there you were interviewing Phil last night. I mean, he's a mate. I've known him for years, and not just because I do my website. I met him at a festival. He's just a nice guy. Yeah. Everyone sort of comes together, and to see the stores coming together as well, I think has been that was a really nice sort of outturn from that episode for me, I think.
I too. That's why I brought it up, actually, because I felt like there was a positive to be kind of snatched from the jaws of defeat there. So let's talk a little bit more about kind of what doesn't make you tick, because I've noticed that last year, there's been a lot of there's been a lot of things that have frustrated you in terms of kind of feedback from people, hence the joke I made about the Ken Tims, and people that follow what you do regularly will know what I'm talking about. But do you think that we're maybe entering a different phase in the ukulele kind of journey? Do you think maybe there's like a phase 3 to this ukulele boom where new people are picking it up and they have had access to several years of my videos, several years of your videos, several years of ukulele site videos, and they are more informed, but they are also more brand led because of social media influence? That's something I'm finding post-pandemic.
You're gonna have to nail that down. I'm trying to think of what frustration. I mean, I know I air a lot of frustrations, Alex, but you're gonna have to nudge me.
Oh, just in general, my concern really is, are you suffering from burnout related to kind of a new wave of negativity?
It comes in waves with me, I think. I mean, most videos will get somebody deciding that they're going to be clever, but I mean, I remember the old ones, and I remember talking to you about it. I had a guy who posted on several videos telling me that I should change my accent. I mean, not this wasn't a "you're pronouncing the ukulele wrong" thing that we talked about in the last video, as I recall, and I get a lot of those. But this was, "I can't understand your accent." So those happen, and those ones kind of make me laugh. The one we talked about earlier about the how dare you try and make a luthier do better for his living than that, they upset me more than that was just hilarious as well. I think I've been quite fortunate lately on the straight out attacks. Burnout, yeah, I mean, I've tried to deliberately slow down a little bit this year, not least because COVID pandemic largely ended. I did take some holidays with the family, and I deliberately sort of put more breaks in. I mean, I think in 2021 I did something like 58. I mean, that's like more. I was doing them more than one a week.
Yeah,
I had nothing else to do during lockdowns, I suppose.
Yeah.
Or maybe that was 2020. Nothing else to do, but it just there are some mornings and the weekends where I sort of get up and go, I've got to do that video, and it's hard, but things surprise me. I think I sort of flip it onto a positive, is that I often think, and I said this in the last video, I often think that things are getting very samey in the ukulele world, and then something comes along that makes me go, oh, that's lovely, and that gives me the lift, is when something new comes along that's nice. So I don't know. It's not putting me off. I'm not stopping it, but it is hard.
Yeah. No, it's just something I found. I'm now 6 years into my journey as a YouTuber on a small scale, and I find that there are some weeks where like positivity comes in waves, and so does the negativity. So I will, if I check it on a Sunday, I'll find I get 4 really negative comments, but if I check it throughout the week, I don't. It's almost as if people are people are kind of people just travel in herds. They don't even realize, like, people are en masse negative and taking it out on people on YouTube. So I have to take more regular breaks now, because it started to really affect me a few years ago. And looking at kind of recently, social media and kind of what's happened this year with the ukulele, I just wondered the same for you. But
well, no, it is the same. I think, well, I've been doing it for about 12 now, and I think I try and laugh about it. I know everyone's different, Alex, aren't they? And I think if you've got to take a break from it, you take a break from it. And there were times, particularly with that last episode we were talking about, I don't mind admitting on this video, I nearly pulled the plug, because I'd had enough. I was away on a weekend with my family. We'd gone to a festival to see some punk festival. I see Billy Bragg and Squeeze. It was great. And my phone was buzzing endlessly, and my wife saying, well, what are you doing? What are you doing? And it just was, but it wasn't just these messages coming in, which I could turn off. It was friends messaging me that I don't want to turn off, saying, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Have you seen this? And you know what? That really nearly pushed me over the edge. I nearly dropped the whole thing, because I can't be doing this. But there we are.
No, I get it. So let's turn it now onto what's next. So what element of what you do at the moment gives you the most creative satisfaction? Is it the videos? Is it the written review? Is it the guitar reviews? What is it that's inspiring you?
The guitar reviews aren't going to last forever. That's not what the site's about. But I've really enjoyed doing those, and well, I've enjoyed them and I've hated them in equal measure, because it means I've got to sit on a camera and play a guitar, and it shows you how lousy I am with a guitar. But they came about because I just had I put a post up, and I got a very positive response about, give us some little guitar reviews. And that's really strange, actually, because when I first started the website, if I dared post anything about guitars, the ukulele community at that time would launch on me and say, how dare you talk about that? 6 strings bad, 4th strings good, all that bollocks.
Yeah. No, you can swear.
All that nonsense. But it was really nice to see that there's a change has happened, that people are really going, yeah, no, absolutely. I'm really interested in trying guitar. So that surprised me. So they've been a bit of fun, but they're not going to last forever, just because I've got so many boxes downstairs. My wife will leave me if I bring any more guitars into the house. It's insane. So they're not going to continue. This was just a little mini series. What I like is the written review. I think I said this to you last time. That's the bit I put the most time into. The video is the accompaniment.
Mm-hmm.
weirdly, I mean, the video gets more traffic than the written review.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to do the written review because I like writing, and that's how it started. There weren't videos to start with, so that's not going to change. But what I like is kind of what I was just mentioning to you before, which is that you go through this wave and you think, oh, everything's really samey, there's not much exciting going on. And then something comes along, like that did a couple of years ago.
I was going to say it. Yeah.
I banged on about that, didn't I? I'm still banging on about it now. But you know what? That's an example. Things like that come along. What happened the other few weeks ago was Andrew at HMS got in touch, completely out of the blue. And I thought, well, he's never going to want to send me something around the world. And he did. He sent this porno around the world, their exclusive one. Yeah. I'm like, whoa, that's a huge lift when you realize there's the guy on the other side of the planet who's sending really nice messages saying, love your stuff, and we'd like to promote this, that we've got a special on. It's a bit different. I mean, my eternal thanks always to Southern Ukulele Store for loaning me stuff, but
nice.
I just one from Hawaii.
Totally. Yeah. I get that. If I can I give you an example? So Kanalea sell my strings in Honolulu.
It's nice. That's cool.
That's so much cooler to me than if Matt said, I'll take some strings, because it's outside of my bubble. And I actually had the same thought when I saw that, and I thought, oh, Andrew must have sent him that. Oh, good. I actually went, oh, good. That's great. Something that's not come from the UK or from the normal channels, so that there's something impartial. Is great. It made me really happy. Even if it is frustrating, because people just skim, and then they didn't catch that it was exclusive. So I had 3 emails from people asking, can I get one? No, I can't. And I knew as soon as I saw that you had it, I was like, oh, here we go. Even if we could get one, pricing wise, you're never going to be able to compete with the company that, own the Pono brand. It's just, it's nice to see Pono doing something new. I was really excited for that review, and I was glad that you got one, because I'd love to see one myself.
Yeah, it was pretty special ukulele, and I think the credit there is there's a lot of joint credit there. Again, back to this community thing we talked about, because that came about because they'd seen a koalau lattice braced instrument. Andrew loved it so much, and Corey loved it so much that they spoke to Pono and said, "Can you do one?" So they and that's the parent company. So that was that was a sort of 3.
Yeah.
I know Pono and Koalau are the same, but you know what I mean? It was like a sort of a circular journey that really worked. I love the fact that the inlay on the headstock is the Koalau logo, the lady playing the what a lovely touch. Yeah, really, really clever that. But yeah, so things like that are a real they're the uplift. It's like they for me, I know everyone's different. A lot of people struggle with social media, and I think the problem, Alex, is not the ukulele world. It's just social media generally. It's the keyboard warrior thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That anyone hidden behind a laptop screen can type what the hell they like. But there's a lot of good people out there too.
Absolutely, and there's definitely more of them than the bad. My last the episode wouldn't have aired by the time we're recording this, but my last guest was actually Bernadette from Bernadette Teaches Music, and it's interesting speaking to somebody who's on another kind of stratosphere again of people interacting with her. I think I looked at her, it's like 400,000 subscribers on YouTube, and you're around 25,
nearly 30 now.
Nearly 30, and I'm around 11 or 12. And honestly, I find 11 and 12 to be kind of quite intimidating, because a lot of those people do interact. And I think, oh God, imagine that again, and being somebody who's doing it supposedly for fun. And then what she does, and you just think it's crazy how the ukulele, the progression of the ukulele over the last 12 years to where we are now. So I guess leading me on to my last question, where do you think it's going? Is there anything that you haven't had your hands on yet that you're excited to see, like the UC10? Like for me, the Flight Fireball Soprano was great. The Carabo Soprano, just because it was somebody producing a mid-price, like £500 soprano that a professional player could play. Anything like that for you?
Well, on the UC10, because I've got I can't say what's coming this weekend, Alex, but
Does it have the letter T in it instead of a C?
It may do, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I guess the color as well? Like, oh, sorry.
Everybody knows. Everybody. Well, no, I do these macro close-up shots I've been doing for a few months, and people try and guess what they are. And you know what? This is insane. Sometimes I make them so difficult, and somebody gets it straight away, and I'm like, how? The ukulele world is a strange place. Some people really know their stuff more than you and I.
It's the bridges. It's when you do one of a bridge, I can always tell a uke from a bridge, because that's something that everyone seems to try and put their own slant on. Whereas if you did a headstock from behind, it would be much harder. So
yeah, although I think there are some that I deliberately made. Maybe there wasn't even a bridge on it, and somebody got it immediately, and I was like, damn you. Anyway, it's all just a bit of fun. No, is there anything I haven't reviewed? And again, this is no slur on the UK market, but I'd like to reach sort of further afield in that way that happened with Andrew, and get some more some really nice stuff from Hawaii. But I appreciate these are really expensive instruments, and it's really expensive to ship them halfway around the world. So I kind of knew that from the off that was going to be difficult. I always look forward to something new coming along that surprises me, and it keeps happening. I think you asked me last time where I thought the ukulele world was going, and I think my answer last time was I've got this wrong several times before, and I'll probably get it wrong again, because I always think we're sort of going over a bit of a crest. And I thought that for a while, actually, but it's a bit hard at the moment to judge that, because we've just gone through COVID. We're now in the UK, at least, and certainly in a lot of other countries in the world, going through major economic downturn and cost of living rises and energy prices going up. So the ability to spend is going to be a big struggle for a lot of people. And that's going to affect stores, it's going to affect brands. But it's a bit like looking at pensions and savings rates, if you've got them. You know, they're going down, but in the longer term, they come back. We've got to ride it through. I think we're in for a difficult few years, and I hope this, I hope everyone survives through that. And I think there will still be innovation and new stuff will come along, and I keep looking at them. But I just don't know what's around the corner in terms of new ukulele stuff. I know what's out there, but I suppose my dream stuff. I'd love to get a divine ukulele on the site. I'd love to get something from Petros and people like that. But
would you be open to reviewing something that wasn't brand new? So if somebody, because say I know people with impressive private collections that would probably loan you something like that. Does it have to be new coming from the source? Is that something in your head?
No, what it does, it's always been the policy. It is a weird thing. I get a lot of emails from people saying, I've got an instrument that I've had for the last 5 years, and I'll gladly send it to you, and I'd like you to review it. Mm-hmm. The reason I always say no, but one of the reasons I say no to people saying that, offering those to me, is, well, what happens if something goes wrong? Who's insuring it? I mean, you're a store with profit and loss accounts, and something went wrong. It's written off in accounts. You wouldn't want it to go wrong, but if some Joe Public sends me £1,000 instrument and it gets smashed by UPS, I'd hate it.
Is that your fault?
And there's nothing I can do with it. So that's the reason I don't do that. But the used stuff, one or two stores are suggesting sending me used stuff. No, because the whole point of the review is it would be to something that people then can go away from the review, log online, and then go and buy.
Yeah.
And if it's like an old Martin, I've had lots of offers for, look at this old Martin. It's like, well, I might do a feature on one, I suppose, but it wouldn't be a review.
Yeah, the problem is you open the floodgates for that kind of thing as well, because every person who's got something that they think's amazing will suddenly start contacting you.
Yeah. Well, I think you and I I've long had a relationship with Southern Ukulele Stores, so the way it works with you guys is kind of understood. But when a new brand comes, I've got a set of terms and conditions that I send. It's only a couple of pages, and it's basically saying, you're responsible for the shipping, you're responsible for shipping it back, stuff like that, basically, because I've never damaged an instrument that's been with me, and I don't think one has ever gone missing in the post when they've been shipped back. Well, at least nobody's told me that.
Yeah, some people might not tell you because they write that stuff off.
Yeah, it could have happened, but it, again, wouldn't be my fault. But there's no accounting for the fact that, you know, like Andrew sent £1,000 ukulele halfway around the world, and I don't know, my dog might have just gone mad and knocked the table over, and ukulele is then dinked.
Yeah,
you know, I do look after them, but that's why I don't want that to sound like I don't give a damn about stores. But stores, you know, you've got business accounts, you can write those off as losses. But if it was somebody's personal pride and joy and something went wrong,
that'd be awful. Right, I've got to wrap this one up because I've only got about a minute left, and I'm never paying for Pro Zoom. I didn't have to before the pandemic. I'm not going to do it now. Right, one last question: is the baritone ukulele just a poor man's guitar?
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much for coming in and doing this this Zoom with me and this podcast. I'm sorry we had some technical issues that the folks at home will never know about if I don't mention it. Let's do it again in a year, yeah?
Yeah, Series 3. I'm your Dame Edna.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Edna. I'll see you soon.
Cheers, Alex. Bye-bye.